Hello everyone, this is the Arduino code part. First of all, we need to define a DHT type, which is DHT11, as we are using DHT11 sensor. Then we have selected DHT pin as pin num 2 and included DHT.h code. In the initializing part, we have two parameters, DHT pin as DHT pin num 2 and DHT type as DHT11. In the void part, we need to start our monitor with baud rate 9600 and print DHT final. After DHT begins, the sensor will get data. In the void loop, firstly we will introduce a delay of 800, which means 0.8 seconds. Then the variable h and t will read humidity and temperature respectively. The variable f will ensure us that the temperature is being read as Fahrenheit. Now, in this part, if any of this give us a NaN value, then we will print fail to read from DHT sensor. Now, if we compile the code, I have already compiled this code as it was taking a bit long. After compilation, we will get a path of a hex file. And if we copy this path in the Arduino Proteus and paste it there, then we can run this code on Proteus 2. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Amrin Hussein. I'm going to explain the Proteus part of the data logger system. The components that we are using are Arduino Uno R3, a COM port, the temperature and humidity sensor DHT11, and a virtual terminal. Firstly, we added the power source and a ground to our DHT sensor. Then we connected the DHT sensor's pin 2 with Arduino's pin 2 for getting input data. Then for communication, we connected the RxD pin of the virtual monitor with Arduino's TXD pin for output. And the TXD pin of the COM port is also connected with Arduino's TXD pin. We also connected the RxD pin of the COM port with Arduino's RxD pin. That is to connect the lab view with our Arduino board. Here I uploaded the Arduino code, and now let's try simulating. As we can see here, we are getting the temperature and humidity data updates. It keeps updating the same thing because it's simultaneously checking the temperature and humidity and updating. So this was all from my end. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Muhammad Yusuf Hussain on student ID 181011586. I will be walking you through the block diagram of the assigned data logger project. Now these modules right here, temperature, humidity, we can see that two modules are here. They're here by default. One for the thermometer, one for the gauge. Now to start things off, let's speak a bit about the COM port part. Now this Visa resource part, this will determine which COM port we use. Now, moving on, we have the Visa clear. Now, this will clear the buffers before we get into the while loop. Now, we have a Visa read. This will read the data from the given Arduino module back in Proteus. We have the two Visa reads for two of the inputs, one for the temperature, one for the humidity. We can see that the entire ordeal is encapsulated in this giant while loop. Now this while loop will iterate for once within the time given in this timestamp. Now this timestamp is assigned to 500 milliseconds or half a second, which implies that this entire while loop will run for half a second and the value will get updated by the shift register for each rotation. Now this table control module will allow us to set these values in a tabular format. We use this module here to get the time and date at any given instance. Now, when all this is said and done, we will input this array over here. Now we will use this array to display our data in a tabular form. Now, the first input will be the date and time, obviously. The second input is going to be the temperature, the third humidity, and as assigned by our faculty, we shall be inputting our student IDs in as well. So if we put these in finally and we run them, it should run without any bugs, hopefully. No, let's try and run them. We don't see any errors here, so it means that this project is running smoothly. And, oh, I forgot to add, this error module is here. This will help us debug the code, or in this case, the module, in case something goes wrong. So that was all from me. And the following parts will be discussed by another groupmate. Thank you again for being a part of my presentation.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is SM Shahar Islam, and this is our final part of our data logger project. So till now we have seen how we have created this circuit, how we have create the code for the Arduino part, and how we have done the LabVIEW part. Now we have to connect all of these things, and to connect this thing, the main motivation behind connecting this thing is we want to send the temperature and humidity data from here to our LabVIEW part. So to do so we need a help of virtual serial port. So what virtual serial port is going to do is going to send the data from here, from our Proteus to our LabVIEW. So I have taken two port, COM1 and COM2, and I'm going to use COM1 for Proteus and COM2 for LabVIEW part. So here we can see, let me check, we have already imported our code here. I have added a register here 4.7k and everything looks good here. So let's go here, and here is a thing, physical port. We have to select comp1 and the physical baud rate, it is 9600, because if we see our receiver port is comp2 and it is receiving data at 9600, so it has to be matched, otherwise data will not be sent as expected. And the settings goes same for this virtual baud rate, and it is physical bit is 8 and virtual data bit is also 8. Okay, so this part is done. If we run it and we see our virtual terminal, we can see that we are getting the temperature and the humidity data. Now let's go to our LabVIEW part. This is our block diagram and this is our front part, and here we have a thing called visa resource name. So we have to select the COM2 part because we have assigned COM2 port for this one. So what is happening here, Proteus is using COM1 port and sending data to COM2 port, and LabVIEW is going to receive data from the COM2 port. And now if we hit it running, you can see we are receiving data. Okay, the temperature and the humidity, we are receiving it. So you can see the graph here, it is going up and down, and there's a change here, and you can see the humidity is here, the meter, and the temperature meter also. So one thing to remember here, that we must choose the baud rate at 9600, because it will not send the data as expected if we choose another rate. Okay, so that's all for me, and this is our data logger part. The data is coming from the Arduino to our LabVIEW project, and this is our block diagram. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.